love is love is love is love. Love is love is love is love. Oh, love is love is love is love. Oh, love is love is love is love. Oh, love, love, love. All we need is love, love, love. All we need is caritas et amor. All we need is love. Love is all we need is love is love is love is all we need is love is love is love is all we need is love is love is love is all we need is love is love is love is all we need is love is love is love is all we need is love is love is love is all we need is love. Caritas et amor. All we need is love is love is love is all we need is love. Caritas et amor is all we need is love is love is love is
We welcome you to Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Thank you for joining us. My name is Pat Trudeau, and I will be your service weaver this morning. Good morning and welcome to all of you in the sanctuary, and also those of you who are on Zoom. I see you. It's a pleasure to be a service weaver today. I have not had the privilege and pleasure of doing this for many years, and much has changed in the script and in the way in our services, but not the spirit of our service, which is love and inclusion. We start today's service by creating a sacred space. So please turn off your phones or devices, and I invite you to join me in reading our invocation, which was written by Reverend Wayne Walter. Let us, wait, no, there it is. Let us cast the circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast the circle of a cherished space here. A space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life, a life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, a place of life and spirit for ourselves and our families. How many of you have memorized that? Yeah. Our chalice lighting will be done by Liz James today. prelude today will be Can't Help But Fly, performed by our special guest, Zoriah Getchell, and with Susanne.
Hello with sound. So I chose this song for this service because when I first heard it, it spoke to me. And what it said was, this is how you've always felt about love. And so I wanted to share that with you because it's particularly relevant for today. So this is Can't Help But Fly by Climbing Poetry.
Ba ba oh way, ba ba oh way, ba ba oh way.
Magnetic attraction, mutual satisfaction, first sight, love at eye contact. I love it that our passion is such a high contrast to the possessiveness that limited our love ships in the past. I'm a bird who sings in the springtime. She's a girl who smiles like the sunrise. Though I love the days when she's all mine, I don't try to bottle her sunshine. Loving, crushing, she sees me staring. Baby, maybe loving is sharing. Feel the wind of love on the sky. I'm a bird that can't help but fly. I can't fit inside monogamy's philosophies of one and only, constantly stopping me from boundlessly expressing what is possibly the greatest force in all of me. My heart cannot be property. Ownership is opposite of all that love has taught to me. The infinite capacity of each of us to master the mystery of infinite. That's true mastery. As each one of us a tapestry, anatomy like galaxies. That's fallacy. I need someone complete the other half of me. Reality is many souls reflect my whole totality. Complexity, vitality, my sensual vitality. I need to burn a mallee that I'm dying like a battery. The more and more I practice love, the more my love grows naturally. If interpreters think jealousy is flattery, I avidly promote. We try to rise up from the agony, try out a brand new strategy, flip envy into ecstasy, amplified through alchemy. I'm a bird who sings in the springtime. She's a girl who smiles like the sunrise. Though I love the days when she's all mine, I don't try to bottle her sunshine. Got a feeling, go girl, express it. Love is never love when possessive. Feel the wind of love on the sky. She's a bird that can't help but fly. If a girl asks you to dance, then dance with the girl. And if it feels right, then you should hold hands with the girl. Cause I believe that God is love, and love, she keeps telling me to step back, relax, and deconstruct your jealousy. Cause jealousy is fear. Some days I'm scared of losing you, but you and I are free to leave if we choose to. I'm taking down the bricks of this invisible wall, and when the wind of love blows, now we both can feel it all. Cause you love to hear me sing, even if you didn't write the note. I love to hear you laugh, even if I didn't tell the joke. You know I love to cuddle with you, pull your body close. And I love it when you're happy, even if I have to let you go. Cause if you need your space, then baby, you just let me know. I love you from afar, you my star in a telescope. I'm not a god, I'm not a fool, but I would be both to think that love was something I could control, right? I'm a bird who sings in the springtime. She's a girl who smiles like the sunrise. Though I love the days when she's all mine, I don't try to bottle her sunshine. Loving, trusting, true understanding. Universe of us is expanding. Feel the wind of love on the sky. We are birds that can't help but fly. I love how your empathy finds joy in my intimacy with someone else that's into me. Love is limitless infinitely. I love it how my loyalty dissolves your insecurity. I love it blooms concurrently. You know it's my priority. I'm soaring through an odyssey deep in the realms of honesty with conscious choreography, consensual autonomy, equality, responsibly. I feel I trust it waters me. A love like this is selflessly fulfilling like a prophecy. There's no better way to love me than through honesty and trust. And it isn't hiding and running, it's indiscriminate loving. It's rising up to realize your love's the greatest gift in me. It's lifting me above the narrow space of normativity. Now we are one, I am free, and you can take the sky with me. Cause love is phoenix flying, rise up above to feel the breeze. Some days will be a struggle, some will fly by with ease, but I'd love it if you'd trust to take this journey with me. I'm a bird who sings in the springtime. She's a girl who smiles like the sunrise. Though I love the days when she's all mine, I don't try to bottle her sunshine. Got a feeling, go express it. Love is never love when possessive. Feel the wind of love on the sky. She's a bird that can't help but fly. I'm a bird who sings in the springtime. She's a girl who smiles like the sunrise. Though I love the days when she's all mine, I don't try to bottle her sunshine. Got a feeling, go girl, express it. Love is never love when possessive. Feel the wind of love on the sky. She's a bird that can't help but fly.
Oh, hard act to follow. I'm so glad that you're here. The opening, our land recognition is, we have words, but the words that I carry with me, it's a sticker, and it says, Canada, established before 1867. Let us begin in the spirit of love for the land and the original peoples of this land. I honor and acknowledge that the land on which we gather this morning is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also remember that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit, a treaty in which we are all participants. Our musical director is Susanne Maziarz. Our director of lifespan learning is Julia Thompson over here. Our special guest musician today is Zoriah Getchell. We also have a contract minister, Reverend Pat Trudeau, who is here today. Where is she? Here I am. That's me. Our guest speaker this morning is Liz James, a beloved colleague of many years, and so glad to see you. Parents with children, are there any today? Yeah, right. Oh, well, yeah. Parents with children may want to take advantage of our optional wiggle room where you can hear but can't be heard. The room is also a quiet personal space for anyone who needs to be alone at some point. And our assisted listening devices are available at the sound desk. As Unitarian Universalists, we are open to many beliefs and learn from many traditions. We welcome all people looking for a spiritual community. If you are visiting us in person for the first time, we welcome you and encourage you to stay after service for coffee time. Take a red mug and we'll know that you're interested in talking with us about neighborhood or Unitarian Universalism. Our services can vary from week to week, so come back and sample a few and get a better feel for who we are. Our mission, this is our mission statement. Our mission at Neighborhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of our world. The theme, the overall theme for the year is aspirations, and today we continue with the theme of being radically inclusive, power and discomfort. If we aspire to be a place where all those looking for spiritual community are welcome, there are bound to be some uncomfortable moments. There's fun, but there's also uncomfortable moments. Many of us have faced exclusion because of our identities or beliefs. There are also exclusions we have not experienced directly, but can perhaps understand. As an ordained, straight, white person who has been married for 30 years and is relatively able-bodied, I enjoy a certain ease in our society and in UU circles. I am welcome most places. This morning, our guest speaker, Liz James, will speak about many ways to love, including polyamorous relationships and families. I have heard Liz over the years, and others speak about wondering, coming into a Unitarian space and wondering if they would be welcome in the congregation. And you are all welcome. Everyone is welcome. So this is a slide that I picked. We aspire to be welcoming and are called by our Unitarian Universalist 8 principles, 6 sources, and 5 aspirations to be so. The report of the CUC, Canadian Unitarian Council, Task Force on Polyamory, came out in May 2020. Our one section refers to aspiration number 5. It makes me think of Mambo number 5. True welcome and radical inclusion. True welcome and radical inclusion. What an aspiration. We strive to create hospitable, diverse, multi-generational communities. While all of our 5 aspirations are important and fundamental, the aspiration to be radically inclusive is particularly important when it comes to welcoming and equality for all people in our communities. When monogamous people ask polyamorous people to hide or to remain silent about important and intimate relationships, even while the relationships of monogamous people are warmly celebrated and their breakups sympathized with, they deny polyamorous people acceptance, community, and support, and they deny themselves a full connection with their fellow congregants. When we say in the invocation, ourselves and our families, let's be conscious of meaning all of us and all of our families. The reading is from Reverend M. Barclay. I looked up the initial M, it's just M. Barclay, a bisexual and non-binary trans clergy person, and young. Love cannot be bought or sold. It does not make a profit. Love does not hide from the truth. Love dives deep. Love takes on flesh. Love is queer. Love is platonic. Love is erotic. Love is asexual. Love confronts evil. Love delights in pleasure. Love touches and weeps and flirts and feeds and creates. Love is risky. Love challenges systemic evil in all its forms. Love is simple but not easy. Love is collective. Love rises up. Love apologizes. Love believes. Love corrects. Love holds accountable. Love pays reparations. Love heals. Love tells its story. Love embraces everyone, every creature, every creation. It knows us intimately. It holds us collectively. Love transcends every boundary that seeks to contain it or confine it. It will not tolerate violence in its name. It does no harm. It only sets us free. Time to greet our neighbors. After you greeted a few neighbors, don't remember to turn to the camera at the back and greet those who are here with us virtually.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Welcome to all our special guests, even from the States, that are joining to see Liz today. Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Good morning.
We're getting snowed in here in Tobermory. I don't know about the rest of you. I'm sure Dee Dee and Sigrid are already.
We are for sure. We're minus 36 with wind chill factor.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So, Jamie quit.
There's the camera.
Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whoever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whoever welcome you. Whoever you are,
Hi, Ernie.
we welcome you.
Hi, Doug.
Wherever you come from,
Hi, Kurt. Hi, Chris.
we welcome you.
Hi, Sigrid.
Whoever you love, we welcome
Hi, Michelle.
you. Whoever you love, we welcome you.
Hi,
I'm
Yvette.
Susanne.
Wherever you come
Hi,
from,
Susan.
we welcome you.
Hello, Yusuf.
Whomever you love,
Hi, Veronica.
we
Janet, hi.
welcome you.
Hi.
Whoever you
Hello, Kathy.
are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you.
One more time, everyone.
Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you.
Whomever you love.
Whomever you love, we welcome you.
Hello. Hi, my name is Julia, as you said. And for the Time for All Ages, I would like to read you a story. Does anyone want to join me here? That would be great. You don't have to be under or over a certain age. Aw, that's so nice. This is the first time we've had a dog up here. So this is called Red by Michael Hall, Red, a Crayon Story. And it's going to be up on the screens for you. So I have the book, and I'm going to read it, and then you can look at the images. He was red, but he wasn't very good at it. Oh dear. I wonder why he wasn't very good at it. Scratching my head. Anybody? You got it. His teacher thought he needed more practice. I'll draw a red strawberry, and then you draw a red strawberry. You can do this, really. Although teachers don't necessarily talk that way. I was a teacher, and hopefully I didn't talk that way. But he couldn't really. Like this? Oh my, let's try again. His mother thought he needed to mix with other colors. Why don't you two go out and draw a nice round orange? A really big one. A really orange one. But they made a big greenish one. Yuck! Oops. Everyone seemed to have something to say. Sometimes I wonder if he's really red at all. Don't be silly. It says red on his label. He came that way from the factory. Well, I think he's lazy. Right, he's got to press harder, really apply himself. Give him time. He'll catch on. Of course he will. But he didn't catch on. Green frog, black sheep, brown cow, red. All the art supplies wanted to help. The masking tape thought he was broken inside. This will hold you together. The scissors thought his label was too tight. One snip should do it. But even with all our help and all his hard work, he just couldn't get the hang of it. One day, he met a new friend. Will you make a blue ocean for my boat? I can't. I'm red. Will you try? I wonder, I feel like something just changed. What changed? How did the story sort of veer in a different direction for red? Friend. Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
Someone saw them.
Someone actually saw them, yes. So he did. Thank you. It's perfect. You're welcome. It was easy. And he didn't stop there. Bluebells, blue jeans, bluebird, blueberries, blue whale, I'm blue! He was blue. And everyone was talking. My son is brilliant. Who could have known he was blue? I always said he was blue. It was obvious. All of his work makes me happy. His blue strawberries are my favorite. I'm going to make a green lizard with him, a really big one. I hear he's working on a huge project. He's really reaching for the sky. And he really was. You know, when we put a label on someone, we expect them to behave according to their label. But what if inside they're not like their label? So what happened to Red when he felt seen, when he felt as though somebody saw him for who he really was? What happened to him? Anybody?
He was able to accept himself.
Yes, and then what did he do when he accepted himself? He blossomed. There was no stopping him. He just came right out of his shell. All right, thank you.
It is my pleasure to introduce Liz James, whom I'm proud to call a friend. I first met Liz at Meadville Lombard Theological School in 2011 in one of the classes, and subsequently in other classes. In our history class, I was so proud when Liz asked the teacher if she could have time on Friday afternoon to present a segment on Canadians. On Canadian history. Lotta Hitch-Manova. And she talked about Lotta, but she also did a section on Canadians and how they use the word sorry. And it was delightful. So Liz, I have this for you today. I have been appreciative of her words, also her love that extends to so many of us who know her, who are colleagues, and I am so glad to have items from her company, Mirth and Dignity, a company that she started. I'm glad to have those items in my home, and I'm so glad that you are here, Liz. Welcome.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you guys for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here. The music was wonderful. That story was great. And I really appreciate being asked to speak about this topic. It's really dear to my heart. Normally I talk about comedy, so this is really nice for me to be asked to give this particular talk. So, I knew I was Unitarian within the first 5 minutes of my first service. I was immediately at home. So I dove into church leadership right away, and I was great at it. I don't mean to brag, but my work on the Karen Connection Committee drew such attention that they promoted me to the role of chair by the second meeting. Clearly, I was nailing it. This might have been the quality of my work. It may have been the fact that Pat Adams was stepping down. Pat Adams wasn't just the head of the Karen Connection Committee, she was the Karen Connection Committee. She was a warrior, badass, love-filled, inspirational matriarch, and I wanted to be just like her someday. I had decided that she would be my mentor, which was why I was heartbroken to learn that she was dying. This wasn't news to anyone but me. Pat was in her 70s, and she'd been fighting cancer for more than a decade. This would not, it turned out, be her last time in the hospital, but things were definitely nearing the end. As incoming chair of the Karen Connection Committee, I was in charge of doing a hospital visit. I was determined. Pat had cared for everyone who needed it in the congregation for decades, and at 22, I knew she deserved every support in the world, and I was going to do the best deathbed visit ever. I stood outside Pat's hospital room, running over potential opening sentences in my mind, maybe like casual and funny, like a story about how hard it was to find the room, or spiritual or calm. Maybe a traditional opening, like, how are you, but with a subtle, deep emphasis, like, how are you? Do you want some lunch? Pat called at me, peeking around the curtain, waving me in. I stumbled into her room, I perched on the visitor's chair, and I looked at the meal tray she was pointing to. A lone aluminum can sat on the tray. She sat smirking at it. What's that? I asked. Ensure, she said. Then she wriggled her nose. They want me to fatten up. All my life I've been trying to lose weight. Now I've finally dropped a few pounds and they don't like it. So they're feeding me this. What kind of idiot tries to fatten someone up with liquid meal replacement? You should ask your cancer doctor fiancé why they don't just serve the patients cheesecake. I could run out and get you, I began to offer, but Pat just laughed. I'm not hungry, she said. Cancer keeps you from feeling hungry sometimes. I held my eyes carefully still so they wouldn't widen when she said the word cancer. I sat in my chair and I carefully relaxed my shoulders. This was the lead-in that I thought might appear. I was determined to provide her with some safe space. Do you want to talk about death? I offered, with casual sincerity. Not really, she said. I stared at her blankly. I wasn't sure how to respond to not really. I wanted to respect that, of course, but I didn't actually have other prepared topics. I had Googled this before coming, what dying people want to talk about. The internet had not provided me any help. So the only two things I could come up with on the fly were, what are the tubes and needles for? And I like cheesecake too. Neither of these seemed like deathbed talk. So I needn't have worried. Like many Unitarian Universalists, Pat was more than capable of holding up her end of the conversation. She wanted to know about me, about how I'd found Unitarian Universalism, about my partner Gary and his work, and if he was the kind of oncologist that had enough pull to get hospital policy changed so they would serve cheesecake instead of Ensure. She wanted to know about the boys, how old they were, what they liked in school, how they liked church so far. She wanted to know about the wedding dress shopping and the flowers. "And how are the plans for the ceremony itself going?" she asked me. I looked down. I felt defensive. Surely Pat was going to judge us. Gary, Maureen, and I were in an unusual situation. Maureen and Gary were still married, and we had no plans to change this. Maureen's mental illness had left her institutionalized for many years, and she was in permanent out-of-home care. I had begun as a nanny to the family years ago, and Gary and I's relationship had become something more. This had happened with Maureen's knowledge and blessing. She didn't want Gary to be on his own raising the kids, and I was the stepmother she wanted for her children. Her mental health, though, meant she was convinced that getting a divorce meant she would go to hell. And a divorce would have been a lie. Maureen was still part of the family. We were still a family. We phoned and visited. We kept whatever connections her health would allow. She didn't live with us, but when one married person can't live with another for health reasons, that doesn't make them not married. "So who's officiating the ceremony?" Pat asked, conversationally. I shrank down further. She seemed to grow a little taller. "Us," I said. "Do you want to officiate your own ceremony?" she asked, tilting her head to one side. No judgment, she was just checking. I didn't. The whole point of this ceremony was to create a sense of permanency and legitimacy. After years of not being sure if I would disappear from their lives, the boys needed me to stand up in a white dress and say it once and for all: "You have two mothers, we are a real family, all of us." We needed to explain to the people that we loved that we were a family, too. We needed to take this awkward creature that had been cobbled together out of tragedy and that had been rejected in so many places and make it real. Well, no minister was going to touch that, right? So we would do it ourselves, up on our own, humiliatingly aware there was nobody to stand beside us. "Hand me the phone," Pat answered as I finished telling her the story. "I will call Tony." Tony was the lay chaplain. We were lay led at the time. "Who is Tony?" I asked. "Can he, I wasn't sure exactly what I was asking or how. "Tony does weddings," Pat said happily. "You can meet with him. You will see if you're interested in what he has to offer." "Will he offer?" I asked in a small voice. "Love makes a family," Pat said firmly. "It's kind of our thing." I kind of knew that. I mean, I'd seen the rainbow triangle on the church sign. I'd seen the rainbow sticker on the DRE's door and a sign that said, "Ask me about family values." But I didn't realize that that might apply to me. "Is it allowed to," I began again with growing hope. "Who could stop us? This is what we do," Pat said, her voice filled with joy and pride as she dialed Tony's number from memory. "This here is the whole point of it all." As she said this, she waved a hand in my direction in a sweeping gesture, rattling all the needles and tubes. I thought she was gesturing to us, to our little ceremony. As the years went on, I would learn how much more she was talking about. All the families. The different ones, the normal ones, all the ones in between. The ones with or without kids, with or without partners. The ones made out of knitting clubs and networks of friendships formed in gay bars. It was a hand sweep that gestured not just to families, but to all the ways that we connect. These connections, every last one of them, are the point of it all, the things that love makes. I should have known this stuff already, maybe. I was already a member when this visit happened. My signature is in this little book, so I can piece together we must have done the thing where I stood up and said the words and they gave me a flower. I don't remember it at all. I just remember this moment with Pat. Her dying in bed with tubes in and out of her, surrounded by charts and doctors, looking for all the world like a cross between a spaceman, a church lady, and a mob boss. And her legacy, that sweep of her hand, a moment of blessing, but kind of more practical than that. It's kind of swatty, like she was directing divine traffic. Unimportant things like silly rules about how many wives were allowed in a marriage would have to wait. It was our family's turn to move forward. That was the moment that I really became a Unitarian Universalist.
So our question to the community is, can you share a time when you were unexpectedly included? I'm going to come around with a microphone. Which microphone? I'm not sure. This one, okay. And I'll take a few people, and I'd ask you to be brief and concise if you can. Yeah.
It was at neighborhood. It was in my first year months at neighborhood. I was a single mother with a 2-year-old, and Ellie Murphy came to me and said, "There's this great place called Unicamp. Do you want to come? And you can bring your little guy with you." And I did, and I felt so included by that and so appreciative.
Thank you.
It was Diana in my first year here at Neighborhood, and she'd just been diagnosed with cancer, and we were moving, and I was thinking, how are we going to carry everything? And then 14 people from this congregation showed up and helped us move, and that was when I became a member of this congregation.
Thank you, Peter.
For me, it was also at Neighborhood. Helen and Tony at camp had said, "You gotta go to Neighborhood. It's kind of like Unicamp South." And I said, okay. They weren't there that day, but 17 people walked up to me and said, "Oh, you must be Lauren. Helen said you were coming. We're so glad you're here." It was amazing.
Thank you. Last one.
It's interesting. I've been at my job for 15 years, and all the time younger people are being really friendly with me, and younger staff, and it's a really diverse workplace, and it really fills me up.
Thank you. I was thinking this week about how radically included I felt when I came back here last year, and I was invited to be part of the Service Weavers group. But thank you.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love.
This is a meditation from, it's called In This Love. And it comes from Meadville, Lombard. It was a gift from a gift from the Star King School of Ministry at the retirement of Reverend Rebecca Parker. So it's simple. It's just breathing in, there is love. Breathing out, holding us. So I'll teach it as we go along. So say with me, I will say, breathing in, as we breathe in, I will say there is love. Breathe out, and you say, holding me. Breathing in, there is love. Breathing out, holding me. Again, breathing in, there is love. Breathing out, holding me. And a few moments of silence, a breath or two. Breathing in, there is love. Breathing out, holding all I love. Breathing in, there is love. Breathing out, holding me. I'm just going to stick with holding me. Breathing in, there is love. Breathing out, holding me. Breathing in, there is love. Breathing out, holding me. Breathing in, there is love. Breathing out, holding me. Now we're going to change it up to holding us. Breathing in, there is love. Breathing out, holding us. Breathing in, there is love. Breathing out, holding us. And now I will say, breathing in, there is love. And as we say, as we do breathing out, we say, I hold. And you can name someone that you're loving and you're holding love for. So I'll demonstrate. Breathing in, there is love. Breathing out, I hold you, Michael. Breathing in, there is love. Breathing out. Breathing in, there is love. Breathing out, I hold you. Name someone. Fill in that space with names of people and places you wish to remember and love. Hold those people and places in the embrace of love's presence, mystery, and transforming power. A few more times. Breathing in, there is love. Breathing out, I hold you. Breathing in, there is love. Breathing out, I hold you. And last time. Breathing in, there is love. Breathing out, I hold you, Michael.
I have to say before I get back to my script that, yeah, this place really does feel like Unicamp South. I agree with that. Oh, or Unicamp is Neighborhood North. I'll be careful who I'm centering. Tony did, in the end, officiate our ceremony. In doing so, he committed a criminal offense under Canadian law. It's not illegal to be polyamorous in Canada, but it is illegal to have a ceremony of any kind to commemorate a union with more than 2 parties. It is a criminal offense not just for the people in the union, but also for the officiant. Other legal issues polyamorous people face are things like being listed as a child or as a parent on a child's birth certificate. Even when there are 3 parents right from the beginning, this is often not possible, although that's not universal. When Gary and Maureen and I parted ways after 20 years, our children were grown. Had they not been, I would have had no legal rights, even though I was the primary parent of those children for most of their lives. Custody in general can be a huge issue for polyamorous people because angry ex-spouses will often use a current polyamorous relationship as grounds to sue for custody. In addition, there are no legal protections for polyamorous people at work. Many professions actually list monogamy explicitly in their code of conduct. They don't differentiate between cheating and consensual non-monogamy, even though, of course, the two couldn't be more different. And even when there are not firm consequences, there is a lot of social stigma. That's why so many people are still in the closet. Depending on how you study it, and the logistics are kind of complex to determine who to include and not, people in ethically non-monogamous relationships are present in roughly the same number as people in same-sex relationships, but you don't see them the same way. We're nearly all in the closet. We have been in this situation before as a society. I once asked my dad what he believed about homosexuality as a child, and my dad explained to me that in the 1950s, nearly everyone was in the closet, so he didn't know any regular same-sex couples. Every gay person he knew of was struggling with something serious. Maybe it was a heterosexually married man who was discovered cheating on his wife, or someone with some mental health issues that made it impossible for her to stay in the closet. Maybe it was a situation involving a minor. There were a lot of special case scenarios. These situations, of course, happen in straight partnerships too, because straight people are generally out, though. A whole host of everyday couples provided my dad with the perspective and context he needed. As a child, my father was able to create a fairly accurate picture of straight relationships, but had this hugely distorted picture of same-sex ones. It was only as an adult that he got to know some gay friends, and then he had the opportunity to re-examine his beliefs and modify them, which he did. There's a similar effect happening today with polyamorous people. People's pictures of us are very distorted by having a very unrepresentative sample. People talk to me about misconceptions they've gathered from reality TV, or maybe a friend who tried opening a marriage to save it and found it got worse, their memories of free love in the 60s, which may or may not have worked out for them, or some other non-representative situation. Which is why it's so important that people like you invite people like me to tell other stories. Because I have had the tremendous privilege of living a life that allows me to be out of the closet, I've also had the privilege of getting to know a wide spectrum of polyamorous people, Unitarian, Universalist, and not. These people are often not out publicly, but they feel safe to tell me their stories. And so I've seen personally how polyamorous people are everywhere in all facets of society, although I have to say they are particularly common in Unitarian Universalist congregations. Why could that be? Is it because we are one of the very few places where there are any examples of polyamorous people feeling safe enough to be out of the closet? I think that's some of it, but I also think there's something deeper. Polyamorous people who are not UU often have a lot of questions for me about Unitarian Universalism. Like anyone, they want to know, what do you all believe? I'm not falling for that trap. So instead, I talk about the process that I went through. Like many, I inherited Christian scripts. UUism has been a place for me to work through that inheritance, figure out what to keep and what to change, and who I am. It's provided me with tools and a community willing to journey with me. It's been sort of a red crayon, blue crayon situation in some ways. Polyamorous people generally resonate with that explanation. They have been through a similar process, often with regards to the monogamous scripts that most of them were raised with. Most of them see monogamy as one valid way of doing things, but only one valid way. This is, I explained to them, how I came to see a belief in God, great for the people it fits for, not so good if it's forced on you when it doesn't fit. Polyamorous people, too, resonate with that blue crayon in a red label situation. Which leads them to the next question, which is usually some variation of, okay, how does that work then? Like, if you don't all believe the same things, I get masked, what holds you together? At this point, I explain about covenant, that UUs have a way we want to be together that we agree to, and we do our best to honor those agreements. When we fail, we own up and we learn and we do better. My polyamorous friends also recognize this because it's a pretty good description of how polyamorous relationships work. Because there's no inherited script, polyamorous people do a lot of talking. We share openly about what we need. We come to agreements about everything from fidelity to who's going to do the dishes. It involves a lot of honesty, a lot of talking, and it often feels a lot to me like church. This talk inevitably leads to a third line of questioning, which is, so if I went to a UU church, would they accept me? That's a hard question to answer. We don't actually have a consensus when it comes to polyamory. My congregation was certainly welcoming of me, but to be honest, Pat didn't leave them with much option. She set the tone. When our kids grew up and that first union ended, I eventually entered into another polyamorous relationship with a lot more openness that is not quite so focused on child raising. That one was more challenging for people to accept, but I can honestly say that I've been accepted in most UU circles I travel in. And I get the feedback from other polyamorous people that the balance is generally towards openness within Unitarian Universalism. That sounds like weak praise when I say it that way, but it's not. We're talking about a society where polyamorousness is still banned in the code of conduct of some jobs. You can legally be fired for it. Against that backdrop, we've accomplished something amazing. As for an official stance, the Canadian Unitarian Council, which is like the Canadian version of the UUA, or the UUA is the American version of the Canadian Unitarian Council, however you want to look at it. They did a report on polyamory in May 2020, which was very positive. If you're interested in further reading, I can absolutely recommend it as accurate, comprehensive, informative, and supportive. It contains accounts of some real challenges and also many heartwarming accounts of acceptance. Reading reports does not usually make me tear up, but this one did. And so I would describe UUism's relationship to polyamory as a moment of huge potential. We have so much acceptance building, and we have an opportunity to take the next step in an ongoing story of growth. So right before I became a UU in 2001, about the time of that story with Pat, my congregation undertook a process called the Welcoming Congregation Certification. It was designed to increase our ability to effectively welcome gay and lesbian people, just those two groups, but it has expanded in scope since then. The training Pat underwent would have focused just there, though. And that always caused me to, when I wonder how Pat knew to accept us the way she did, I'm sure that training played a part in it. Pat was a very kind woman. I believe she would have accepted my family no matter what, but I have a suspicion that the welcoming congregation process helped her along. She had language, love makes a family, at her disposal. She had values. Polyamory was not a part of the welcoming congregation curriculum at that time, neither were bisexuality, asexuality, or gender identity, to name just a few that have been added. But even with its limited focus, the welcoming congregation program created the roads on which many other groups would travel. It laid the groundwork for diversity and for love. When I was a young mother struggling to find acceptance in my home congregation, I stood on the shoulders of giants. Accepting someone is such a powerful thing. I've seen people moved to tears by the simple act of being able to safely hold a partner's hand or use a bathroom without having to calculate and worry and figure. And I've seen the gratitude. And I've seen this long-term evolution that years of acceptance brings, how over time the gratitude starts to fade away and get replaced with something else, something stronger, which is a conviction that being treated with respect is not a gift for which a person should be grateful, but a human right that they deserve. I felt these things for myself, too. The acceptance of my congregation allowed me to raise my children in a community that accepted all three of their parents without hesitation. Over time, I forgot that my family was ever something anyone thought I should be ashamed of, and that's a gift I will carry forever. But it's more than that. Our opportunity is more than that. Accepting people isn't just a thing we do as a gift to the person we accept. It's something we do for ourselves. Joining right after the welcoming congregation process, I supported welcoming gay and lesbian people into our congregations. My thinking mostly revolved around those two. It was in the year 2000. I felt that was the right thing to do for them. I didn't know just how much impact, though, that welcome would have on me as a person, all polyamory aside. I was raising kids. I wanted them to learn to be accepting. And I didn't want them to have to learn the way my dad did, by working it through over years. Not the way I did either, which was getting an awkward speech from a parent that was mostly about theory that had been pieced together over the course of working things through. I got none of that stuttery stuff. I got what I wanted, which was my kids not having to deal with an awkward parental monologue about gay people. They were just people. They were around. Some of them were gay. Then, when I said things to my children, phrases I inherited like, you might grow up to be attracted to men or women, they just looked at me like, how obvious was that as kids? As they grew, they started responding to that speech with suggested improvements. Courtesy of our whole lives gender and sexuality training they got at church. First, they pointed out that they might grow up to be attracted to both kinds of people because bisexuals are a thing, Mum. Then they pointed out that they may be attracted to nobody at all because some people are asexual, Mum. And finally, they pointed out that there is no such thing as both kinds of people. It turns out my understanding of gender was quite reductive. Not all people are men or women, Mum, they said. I have benefited so much from being in a community with this expansive understanding of gender and sexuality. It benefited my kids and it benefited me. I learned new things and I strengthened that all-important skill set of examining and adjusting my map of the world to make it better, more accurate, and more loving. And I hope we continue on that journey. Okay, I can't end with that. Because if you are polyamorous, you have just endured my talking for 20 minutes about polyamorous people as though I am the only one in the room, which I am not. So I can imagine that might have been a little bit grating. I'm sorry for that. Particularly if your life doesn't allow you to be out, I want you to know that I see you. And I want to end by speaking to you directly. I hope one day this will be a safe world where you can share your story openly in every setting without fear of consequence, where you enjoy legal protections, recognition of your family, and acceptance of who you are. Until then, I will keep working under the legacy I inherited, the legacy of a faith that is curious and kind and intentional. Pat gave me a gift. I will do my best to be worthy of it. I will do my best to carry it on and extend it to others, to provide for your family the blessing and the space and the home that Pat made for mine. Love makes a family. Full stop, no asterisks or addendums, no qualifications. Love makes a family. In my books, that includes every person in this room, and also lots that aren't. I mean, lots that aren't yet.
Liz, I join with you in those hopes, and it is my hope that someday we as ministers, Unitarian Universalist ministers, and as chaplains will be able to conduct legal unions for polyamorous people. We cannot at this time. Thank you. Our offering is a sharing of ourselves, and it's part of our every faith. So volunteers' efforts are essential, but salaries keep us going in terms of our programs and staff, and are created by your contributions. Members of neighborhood Unitarian Universalist congregation choose a variety of ways to give, either through offerings in the basket, predated checks, e-transfers, and automatic withdrawals. If you are online, please use the link displayed on the screen, which leads you to the donation page on our website, and please be generous. The greeters will pass the baskets for those who choose to make contributions. Greeters, please bring those baskets up to the front and place them on this podium at the end. Where are our greeters? No, thank you.
For our musical offering, I've chosen an excerpt of the song Love While You Can from the musical If Then. And I've chosen these parts of this song because it speaks to the propensity of love to change when it's given the space to grow. Love while you can. So love wherever and whenever and however love is. It's fear that hides the heart away. It's love that forgives. And it wasn't what we dreamed of. It wasn't in the plan. But love the way love finds you. Love while you can. Love the way love finds you. Love while you can.
If you have found love and acceptance here, if you have found a home here, if you have known kindred spirits here, let this offering be a token of gratitude for our common life as we build the common good.
Please rise together in spirit and in love to sing How Could Anyone?
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
How deeply you're connected.
How deeply you're connected to my soul.
I invite you to sing with Susanne and Zoriah as we extinguish our chalice. Liz, would you extinguish our chalice? For our closing, we just hold hands. We form as much of a circle as we can. Come join us if you can. The closing words and blessing are by Eric Williams. Blessed is the path on which you travel. Blessed is the body that carries you upon it. Blessed is your heart that has heard the call. Blessed is your mind that discerns the way. Blessed is the gift that you will receive by going. Truly blessed is the gift that you will become on your journey. May you go in peace. Our service is ended. Go in peace. Return in love.